Today, the next step in the case between Paramount and 12 state attorneys general suing to block the company's merger with Warner Brothers Discovery is set to begin. The two sides here are expected to begin exchanging documents and gathering evidence, and the pressure is on because Paramount CEO David Ellison is now threatening to take the company out of California. The LA Times reports while Ellison wants to stay in Hollywood, he has signaled interest in Nashville and perhaps Texas. And so the public pressure is starting to spill out a bit, with Xavier Becerra, the Democratic nominee to become California's next governor, weighing in.
I hope it settles before court. It is easier to stand in a conference room and settle than it is to stand in a courtroom. I say that having had to stand both in the conference room and in the courtroom, you get way more done in the conference room than you do in the courtroom.
Let's bring in the Democratic Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta. Mr. Attorney General, your response to Xavier Becerra.
He's saying what I've always said and what continues to be true, that we prefer to resolve disputes in the boardroom, not the courtroom, if possible. And so coming to the table in this case in good faith to sincerely discuss how to resolve this case has always been on the table and remains on the table. But Paramount Warner Brothers breaking the law and expecting us to let them get away with it, that is not on the table and never will be on the table. And that's essentially what they're asking for right now. So I'm in line and aligned with the governor to be in California around resolving cases in the boardroom instead of the courtroom whenever possible.
As Xavier Becerra said, I hope it settles before court. Paramount is floating, as we reported here, this idea of leaving the state altogether. You've called that threat blackmail, but it doesn't mean they couldn't still do this here. What impact would that have on the tens of thousands of people in the broader film and television industry in your state?
Let me be clear about that threat. We do see it as blackmail. I've called it blackmail then. I call it blackmail now. It's a threat to try to allow the regulators, including my office, who dare to enforce the law against an unlawful merger, to try to threaten us to allow it to occur and to let it pass through without any scrutiny or regulatory oversight. And that's not going to happen. That will never happen. This is the second time they're launching this threat. And I want to be clear about this blackmail threat to leave California. That is David Ellison's choice and his alone. It is his voluntary choice, his independent decision. We're not asking for that. We're not seeking that. Our complaint does not seek to have Paramount leave California. It's his decision to do it. Nothing to do with our case. And for someone who has claimed to love Hollywood, be committed to Hollywood, its future, he's going to have to explain to a lot of people why, when he says that out of one side of his mouth, he, in the other side of his mouth, is now saying we're going to leave California. But let me tell you about what is bad for California. This merger is bad for California. This merger
is that adding
will lead to lost jobs. Excuse me?
I apologize. Is this adding, though, to pressure that you're now feeling from constituents in your state about that risk?
Not at all. Not at all. It's an empty blackmail threat, and it's his decision alone. It has nothing to do with the case. Our case continues, whether they're in California or not in California. It doesn't allow them to escape liability. It doesn't change the basics of this bread and butter, black and white, meat and potatoes antitrust case. They unfortunately have lost the plot here and continue to lose in court. They want to talk about everything except for what the case is about. They want to talk about CNN. This case is not about that. They want to talk about the streaming market. This case is not about that. They want to talk about what foreign regulators around the world have done. This case is not about that. If they are willing to talk to us about structural remedies, about the three markets that we complain or that we allege in our complaint have unlawful concentration that violate antitrust law, we're happy to do that.
Have you heard from Governor Newsom on it?
Look, Governor Newsom is a friend, and he is someone I have the utmost respect and admiration for. I think he's probably the most incredible elected official I've ever seen in my life. I'm grateful for all he's done for California and all he'll do for our country in the years ahead. Because I value his relationship and his friendship so much, his and my private conversations and communications will always remain private. But we do converse and communicate about a whole variety of things about the future of California, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do that.
Let me ask if I can. Americans have obviously seen what has happened at CBS News. There's concerns right now that something similar could happen at a Warner Brothers Discovery-owned CNN. David Ellison says that this fight is really about whether he can be trusted with CNN. You say that's a distraction from the facts in this case right now. Does California have any interest in one company owning both CNN and CBS News. Why is that so problematic?
We have an interest in our antitrust case, and our antitrust case talks about 3 markets: widespread theatrical release distribution, blockbuster theatrical release distribution, and cable channel licensing. And CNN is not a part of that. That is something that David Ellison, who has politicized this case, wants to talk about. That's not what this case is about. So we'd like to talk about what this case is about, which is set forth in our complaint. Of course, as a American, as someone who's chosen public service, as someone who cares about democracy and the rule of law and the future of this country, of course I care about the independent free press and their ability to ask tough questions, hold the powerful accountable, be truth seekers and truth finders and truth tellers. But that is separate from this antitrust case. So we want to talk about this antitrust case. I hope David Ellison will at some point as well.
Rob Bonta is the California Attorney General. Mr. Attorney General, I appreciate your joining us here on State of Play.
A great pleasure. Thanks for having me, Peter.